Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing all the lies coming out of this clown show known as the Biden administration. Numbers are important, but you know what's more important than just looking at the numbers? The actual context behind them. Just like you know what's more important than reading the headline is actually reading the article or understanding what the headline means and where it's coming from. You know, this is something that Joe Biden's base doesn't seem to understand. Their brains work in very simplistic fashion. The Biden administration just posts number go up, and every single leftoid in total glee starts clapping like a damn seal. Ooh, number go up. Ooh, earth. Here they are attempting to take a victory lap on the economy, but we're gonna step in and say very simply, not so frickin' fast. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so pop all over Twitter and you're going to see all kinds of graphics. One of the great myths of our time is that Republican presidents are better at managing the economy. Here we go, jobs created supposedly. Democrat presidents create tens of millions of jobs, and Republicans, well, they have a horrible track record on the issue, especially Trump. During Trump's first term, 2.7 million jobs were lost. I mean, what a crock of shit. Let's address this as it should be addressed. I mean, what an absolute frickin' lie. You know, according to Democrats, the pandemic never happened. It never existed. According to Democrats, Joe Biden created all of these jobs out of thin air, except if you look at the charts that even the Biden administration posts, well, it tells a different story. Joe Biden created all these manufacturing jobs from apparently February 2021 to early January, and then, of course, total stagnation. In other words, what you see there as the chart rises up there is people going back to work after the pandemic, after the shutdowns, and then Joe Biden's actual job performance, total, utter, complete stagnation. But number go up, therefore, earth. We're actually starting to learn a little bit more about Joe Biden's amazing jobs numbers. Firstly, I'd like to point out that nearly every single monthly job number that's been celebrated by the left has been revised significantly lower. I'll probably just find a random chart and show you guys. This is Joe Biden's job creating track record. But what's even more surprising is that these jobs numbers seem to be totally artificial, fabricated. They're manipulating the data. Put simply, compared to 2019, all the net job growth has gone to immigrants. To be clear, employment for both groups has rebounded significantly since the depths of the COVID-19 recession in 2020, but the number of US-born workers has not returned to the level it was before the pandemic, while immigrant employment, legal and illegal together, has ballooned. How do we know this? Well, the government collects the Current Population Survey, CPS, each month specifically to measure employment. It asks people where they were born and if they are US citizens. Change in number working compared to the fourth quarter of 2019. From the pandemic to today, less American citizens are working than pre-pandemic levels. These supposed jobs being filled, you know, the supposed jobs boom that's going on, well, those jobs aren't even going to American citizens. They're simply importing cheap labor, oversaturating the jobs market with foreign-born employees. In other words, continued mass immigration, creating downward pressure on American wages, and also creating less economic and job opportunities for American-born citizens, just so they could say, look, number go up. And then, of course, the Democrat NPCs, the greatest jobs president ever. He is not the greatest jobs president ever. He is an absolute freaking clown, and there is a massive propaganda campaign currently running to try to rewrite history, remold reality, to make Joe Biden seem successful. And trust me when I tell you the media is in full swing. Here's MSNBC talking about national debt.
We were going to pay off debt. We were going to reduce taxes further. We gave you the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, bigger than the Ronald Reagan tax cut.
Wow. The actual numbers show something very different, right, Steve?
Yeah, he did give us a big tax cut. That part is true. But what it did was it actually increased the deficit. So when he says that we were on track to pay off the debt, look what happened to the deficit even before COVID. Even before COVID, because of his tax cut, the deficit was going up, and then, of course, COVID hit. And under Biden, he's actually brought it down, and in his new proposed budget, he would bring it down further. And so because of that huge deficit, when he talks also about how he was going to pay off the debt during his first term, he in fact added more debt than any other president in history. Some of it, yes, was COVID, $3.6 trillion. But there was also $5 trillion of debt that had nothing to do with COVID. And Trump signed a whole series of spending bills that increased our spending by over $2.5 trillion. So the idea that he was a president that was going to attack the deficit and debt problem is actually completely false.
Donald Trump increased the debt every year while in office. Here's the chart that they were using. But again, they failed to mention that that big red bar represents the frickin' pandemic and had actually very little to do with Donald Trump and more to do with uniparty corrupt actors in Congress passing legislation. Not to mention, this chart, if anything, is more damning for Joe Biden's performance than it is for Trump's. The pandemic is over, but increased government spending remains in the Joe Biden years. Joe Biden is the fiscally irresponsible one. I mean, it's clear Democrats in the Obama era have a frickin' spending problem that is clearly visualized here, but Trump's the guy who increases the deficit and Joe Biden is balancing the budget. You gotta be out of your damn mind to even suggest anything remotely close to that. It's all frickin' connected. It's all one big propaganda campaign. Oh, we're creating all kinds of jobs. Democrats are so good at economics. Look at the numbers. I mean, of course, we're going to see the stock market going up when Washington is spending trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars in excess every single year. It's called subsidies. It's called artificial bloat. It's not growth. It's artificial. It's fake. And eventually it turns its ugly head and comes back to bite you in the form of inflation. Joe Biden's creating all kinds of jobs, but most of those jobs are going to legal and illegal migrants, and all the money they're pumping into the economy to create this faux growth, well, it's making you poorer through the effects of inflation. But Joe Biden is just such a great guy. He understands economics better than everyone. Don't spread fake news, you MAGA chud Republican. Probably what some big brain leftists would respond with. Actually, costs are down.
Summer 2022, people going around putting on their Joe Biden stickers on gas pumps, saying, I did that. You don't see that so much anymore because we're now down to a little over $3 per gallon. They start up here, they go down there.
Gas prices are down. From when? From when Joe Biden initially took office? Yeah, no S, Sherlock, but they're still significantly higher than where they were prior. Let's take a look at gas prices. The average during 4 years of Trump was below $3 a gallon. Now it's around $3.50. Oh, but gas prices went down from 2022. I love the way they accuse us of cherry-picking data. Then they present graphics like this. Gas prices are going down. The chart starts in September of 2022. Oh, you mean from the absolute peak from Joe Biden's horrible crisis, we've come down? Again, no S, Sherlock. Let's take a look at Joe Biden's real track record on prices. CPI food at home price levels. Joe Biden got elected right over here in 2021. Look at the levels of increase. And we see this across most commodities. But don't worry, folks. Joe Biden's got it all under control.
Wages are rising faster than prices, and now we have among the lowest inflation rates of any country in America, and we're still fighting to lower it even further.
We have among the lowest levels of inflation rates of any country in America. The greatest economic president ever, they tell you. What an absolute farce. It's nothing but lies and propaganda, over and over and over again, cherry-picked data, like Pete Buttigieg saying this on Fox News the other day.
Why inflation in the U.S. is lower than it is in any of the other G7 countries.
It's actually not true.
Yes, it is.
Well, not according to the Washington Post. They say Japan, Italy, and Germany all had lower inflation rates than we do, and Italy's is less than 1%.
They may have been looking at a different time period, but I'm telling you, if you look at the overall time period when it was toughest, our inflation rate was better.
Well, in order for our statement to be accurate that America's performed better on inflation than other countries, you have to look at this very specific timeline. Just look at these specific 6 months and omit the rest of the data. Am I the only person not smoking crack? Why does it feel like everyone is so insane and incompetent? Just cherry pick the data. Just look at our best months and then compare it to other countries who were the best. The most idiotic thing I've ever heard in my life. Then, of course, there's Elizabeth Warren claiming that inflation is actually just corporate greed and price gouging.
They're saying that inflation gives them a chance to boost prices, and the American consumer will think, gee, there's nothing we can do. It's just inflation. And the answer is, yes, there is. These big corporations are gouging consumers.
And so it's time to pass another bill to stop corporate greed. And I'm sure that bill's gonna have, 10% actually allocated to this non-existent crisis, and the next 90% of the bill is gonna be funding for LGBTQ studies and funding the war in Ukraine. The Democrats don't get to do a victory lap on the economy. The Democrats are the reason we're here. Their continuation of 2020 level spending post-pandemic is the reason why we're here. And things are not getting better just because stock market go up. No, if anything, the stock market pumping should scare you. The wealthiest few are doing great. I'm sure the millionaires who weren't affected by inflation at all, the same millionaires who bought Nvidia when it was down in the ground and probably bought Facebook or Meta when it was $90 a share, I'm sure those people are doing fantastic after putting $1 million in a stock and seeing it balloon to $5 million in a couple years. You know, the wealthy are doing great with all of this stimulus added to the economy, but the regular person is getting absolutely frickin' crushed. And while this is happening, the Democrats are doing a victory tour on every mainstream media outlet, a total slap in the face to regular people. They made you poorer, they expanded government, perfect environment for total corporate oligarchy control over the US economy, and now they want a pat on the back, but most importantly, they want you to head to the polls to re-elect them so they could keep doing it or rather do it again. I don't know about you guys, but I for one am not buying it. Not even close. If you have a rudimentary understanding of basic economics, you can clearly see that what they're attempting to sell is absolute garbage. These people cannot be trusted. Vote for the Democrat Party at your own peril, but when it continues to financially ruin you, don't say, I didn't warn you. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.